I didn't know. I've been waiting for this from you for so long, and you kicked butt doing it. Can you talk about just the pressure upon yourself or the relief to finally get to unleash in a way that you knew you were capable of?
Thank you. It was the most freeing experience that I've ever had in my career. And I was had a great conversation with Bennett Miller the other night about this particular thing, about how freeing this role was for me, because I had been waiting for this for a long time too. But what I had been waiting for was just, I really wanted this opportunity in such a hungry way to challenge myself and to grow and to get uncomfortable and do something that was really uncomfortable. And this was, and I was chasing it for years. So around 2018 or so, 17 or 18, I just had this little voice in my gut that was like, hey, there's more to do. That is the challenge, that you be honest with yourself. What are you chasing right now? And I had that reconciliation with myself, and then I watched Uncut Gems, and I was able to get this documentary, the rights to this documentary called The Smashing Machine. I watched Uncut Gems in 2019. I loved it. I did meet with Benny. Benny loved the material, and then we made this film. But Smashing Machine, I have been saying, and I said it to you when we first started talking, is the movie really changed my life in ways that I had not anticipated that it changed my life. It unlocked something, but also, man, it just, for years, I've had a lucky career. I work hard. We all work hard. We do what we love to do, which is tell stories and to act, and just to get on set and hear action, cut. It's the best. And then, but for me, there was a part of me that I knew that I kept in here, which is all the shit and trauma that we go through in life, that we know as actors, it's so crucially important to find a place to put that stuff. And we're so lucky that we could put it into our work. But for years, the truth is, I didn't want to do that, because I felt like, well, that's for me to work out. I didn't want to work it out. I didn't mind workshopping it in rehearsals and things like that, but I didn't want to put it on the screen. And I felt like I had this idea in my head that's worked for me for years, which was, hey, audience first. Take care of the audience. Send them home happy all the time. That's important. Then I realized, well, wait a second. I love the audience, and we always want to take care of our audience, the people who watch our films, whether it's 10 people or, 1 million people. But you realize the most important thing is, yes, take care of the audience, but take care of yourself and take care of you as an actor and as an artist. And that's what I realized for me. That's what Smashing Machine represented, was the first time I wasn't making a movie for the big 4-quadrant, returns and the big studio, and it's this budget, and I made the movie for me and for Benny, and for Emily.
I have been dying to ask you this question because I thought about it later. I was at the premiere of the film over at the Toronto Film Festival, and there was a pre-reception before the movie. I'd already seen it, and the real Mark Kerr, gentle giant. But I was standing there with you and surrounded by all these MMA fighters. I've never felt in so much danger, but also so well protected at the same time. And you're a big guy, but I wanted to know if you felt like, I'm taking on an MMA fighter. If he hates this movie, like, they're all going to beat me up like later. Like, was there that initial fear, like, I got to get this right for Mark and for my own personal safety?
Yes. Look, I did performative combat for a long time in wrestling. There's a big difference. I don't like getting punched in the face, for real. I felt that pressure, and you do feel that pressure because you're playing somebody who's alive. And not only are they alive, but it's not like Mark went on after his career, didn't work out. As you guys saw, he didn't win the big championship, and his life was really never the same again after he lost in Japan. He tried. He struggled. He was addicted to drugs. He OD'd. We showed one overdose in our film. He OD'd twice. And it was really hardcore. And so you have a guy who lived this life, and you want to do right by him. And it's not like after the film, it's not like when his career was over, he went on to become a famous journalist like you. He didn't go on to become like this podcast giant or this, or, you know, he's not like he's covering UFC. He just, life went on and he struggled. And that was his legacy for a long time. So the pressure was there to do right by him and to also show him today. And that's why it was important for Benny to show Mark at the end of the movie just grocery shopping. And what you saw on film is that's the real Mark Kerr. He's happy, he's sober. He's sober, and he's proudly co-raising his kid. They've got a boy together. So the pressure was on. And I also want to point out that the pressure, and you know Emily so well, the pressure was on for Emily too as well, because Dawn Staples, at the end of that documentary that came out in the mid-2000s, if you haven't seen it, check it out now that you've seen the film. If you've seen it, then you know what I'm talking about. That documentary showed Dawn in a different light. And you know, there in every story, there's got to be a good guy, got to be a bad guy. Good girl, bad girl. They villainized her in a way that was unfair. So for the last 20-something years, her legacy publicly in that world of MMA was like, oh, you're the girl who ruined his career. No, he's the guy who ruined his career. She's the one who supported him through all of that and gave up her own dreams. And all she wanted was just to be seen, you know? So anyway, the reason why I bring that up for Emily is because I'm so proud of her performance, and she really just crushed it too in this movie.
Yeah. I want to talk about Emily. You gave me a great segue, because the really uncomfortable, raw moment, the fight in the apartment, or the house rather. If you guys don't know this, you have to read Variety, and it was written in there. But Benny hid the cameras all throughout the house, so it gave you the freedom to just be around and really unleash in these scenes. Can you talk about that kind of creative freedom of not knowing where the camera is and looking and just feeling like, if I want to turn away from you, I can, without getting away from the light or something like that?
Yes, I'd love to bring that up, because this is a room that will appreciate that. So Benny, in all those fight scenes when we got into the house, especially the fight scenes, kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, all those walls, that was on a soundstage built, and all those walls were immovable walls, running water, real marble tub, everything was real. With our production design, Benny did that so he could hide the cameras. So when Emily and I walked in, so imagine we're all in a scene, we walk in, but we don't know where the cameras are. And we just, right, it's like, holy shit. It just gives you a freedom, like just to go in there and you don't worry about where the cameras are, because you don't know where the cameras are. And then you could just live. And that's what happened. We were able to live in these scenes, and by the way, lighting, same thing, no lighting setup. So when you walked onto that set, it was kind of just all in the ceiling. So we walked in to those, and I think it allowed for that rawness and that realness to happen, because you guys know there's the movie version of fights with men and women and coverage and things like that. Then there's the real stuff that happens that we've all gone through behind closed doors. And that's the stuff that Benny wanted to show. And I feel like that's what we were able to capture. And as actors, I've never, ever experienced anything like that. Because you're right. You know, if we're in this scene together, I want to know, oh, there's a camera there. Yeah. Turn my head there, make sure. You know, you guys, okay, I don't want to block your lighting. Okay, well, cool, everything good. That is just, here we are. And before you know it, you're not even thinking about a camera.
One thing that you had mentioned to me, you got a note that you've never gotten from a director before. Benny Safdie said to you, you got to get a bigger dude.
Yeah.
And I want to know how he said it with a straight face, but how did you, and then, you know, because you're playing Mark Kerr at his, like, we see Mark Kerr at the end of the movie. There was Mark Kerr in the 90s though, and that's what you had to go for. So talk about your routine and, you know, or the routine I gave you to get bigger.
The routine you gave me, yes.
Yeah,
when we were Zooming, while I was working out, I'm like, am I doing this right, Clayton? You're like, you are. Benny did come to me with with a straight face, but with humor. He goes, look, I and if you guys know Benny, he's such an amazing human being, and he has his childlike, Benny, like his childlike charisma about him. So he's like, and he looks at the world with hope and humanity and reality. So he said, I don't know if you've ever been asked this before. He goes, but I think you're going to have to get bigger. And he kind of whispered it. I was like, okay, why are you whispering? It's okay. He's like, I bet you're going to have to get bigger. I don't think you've ever been. I said, I haven't been asked that before. And then I said, but I felt that anyway. Because then he goes, because, and then he was, and I knew what he was trying to say, because he said, Mark is a lot puffier. He's just a massive human being. And he goes, I would like to achieve that look between that and Kazuhiro with prosthetics. He goes, I'd like for you to do the physical work. We'll take care of the face. I said, okay. And what you realize is, once I said, okay, and then I went back and watched film, I was like, oh shit, now I get it. To Clayton's point, Mark Kerr in the 90s was just this crazy unicorn you saw in the still pictures at the end in the credits. He was 285 pounds. He moved like a cheetah. He was one of the greatest wrestlers on the planet. And just his body, his back, everything was just insane. And he had this tiny waist, which was a struggle for me because I like to cheat days and food. But I put on exactly 33 pounds for the role. And when I stepped on set of Smash Machine on day one, I was 282 pounds. Yeah.
Wow.
235 now.
Good regiment. One thing I love about the film, and you kind of already spoke to this, it really does pull a switcheroo on you. You're watching it and you think it's building up to the big fight between two best friends like Rocky, and it's going to be Apollo Creed versus, Rocky Balboa. And the movie's never about winning. It's about losing. It's about Mark learning how to lose. And I love a film that pulls a switcheroo on you. And what it ultimately becomes about, was it always that in the script? And did you see his life, this chapter of his life, that way, that he was learning how to lose? Or how did you interpret that setting of that story being told?
I love that you brought that up, Clayton. And I think it's learning how to deal with your fame and then your shame and then your pain and your struggles and your demons. Because these guys, and it's funny, not much has changed, I feel. I just want to speak for us guys here. It's not the easiest thing, just how we're wired to talk about our shit that we have going on, or the insecurities we may have, or, I'm feeling blue today. It's not like, look, we text, but it's not like I'm texting you like, hey, brother, I'm kind of sad today, man. Can you talk to me a little bit? I should, and we should, though, right? So I think with Mark, we wanted to show at the end, I know that we wanted to show at the end that sometimes winning becomes the enemy. And when winning becomes the enemy, losing then becomes something valuable in your life and what that's like. And what was also important to all of us was we can't relate to what it's like to be the greatest fighter on the planet. Like, that's a rare air thing for very, very few, but we could all relate to pressure. And what that's like, and the pressure of trying to deal with our job, relationships, marriages, work, school, whatever it is, raising babies, like that kind of pressure. And that for Benny, I know as a filmmaker, he felt like he could. There's a version of the story where, even though what happened, where we don't show Mark getting stitched up, and we don't show him like he could barely move at the end, his body was broken down. There's a different version. Maybe we show Mark in a different way, not in just a grocery store shopping for food, but where it feels more elation and more joy and more uplift. But we all just felt, that's not life. It's not real life. Real life is we lose and we get knocked down, and it's what happens when we get back up, I think, that defines us.
Awesome. Thank you. I have some questions from the audience, but I have one last question for you it's a question just for me. You made the movie for you. I'm asking a question for me. How did it feel to have hair again, man? Because I dream about this day one day. I had such luxurious hair back in the day, and was it just like you were like, oh, this is method. I feel this. Like, I remember this time.
Oh, it was a good time back then. Yeah. when I had hair like a lot of you guys. It was good.
Yeah. So
Do you miss having hair, Clay?
all the time. But I do like just being able to get up and leave the house. But I do miss it.
What kind of hair did you have?
It was curly. It was
curly.
Yeah. There was a time I had cornrows when I was
No.
I'm from the Bronx, man.
I was going to say you're running around New York with cornrows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will show those pictures later. All right. Okay, I'm going to read your questions, but I want you to raise your hand. The first one is going to be from Tom's sons. Tom, right there. It's from Tom.
What's up, Tom?
Question for Dwayne Johnson. If you could give your younger self any advice going into the industry, what would it be?
Man. Going into the industry, it would be take more risks. Take more risk, and it's easy to be comfortable. It's easy to be in a comfort zone that you find like, oh, this is good, and I think I'm good at it. Let me stay here in this spot, in this zone. Take risks. Do shit that's challenging, that's more challenging than you think. Step out of the comfort zone box. I would say that to myself, and I would also say, and this is hard because you don't know it until you just have to live it and go through it. But man, it dawned on me a few years in when I started looking around a set, actually probably within the first year that I started acting, looking around a set and thought, wow, I have never experienced something like this before where every single person on this set is working towards one goal, ego checked at the door. Like, Tom, if you need something, it's like, boom, I got you. But like, it's just such this incredible, you guys have been on sets, it's just this incredible machine that's beautiful because I came from the world of pro wrestling. And so backstage at pro wrestling, it ain't like that. You're constantly looking around and your head's on a swivel and, this person's out to get, it's just like, it's wild, but it's such a beautiful thing. And so my point is I would remind myself a little earlier, just how valuable everybody is on set. Man, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, man. Maybe we'll work together one day. You look like somebody I need to take down. Or you take me down. Yeah. You are a big boy.
All right. This question is from Beautiful. There you go.
Hey, Beautiful.
It matches perfectly. For Dwayne, you have done so many different types of projects. What is your process for choosing a project?
Well, Beautiful. I love saying that. Is that your mom? Hi. What's your mom's name? Jackie. Hi, Jackie. Jackie, did you give your daughter Beautiful, or did she give herself that nickname? That's beautiful. Love that. The process that I have for choosing a role, well, these days is, am I going to love it? That's it. Am I going to love this thing that I'm going to do? And then I also these days just surrender to, wherever this takes me. Could take me here, there, around the world, 8 weeks, 12, 15, 6 months, whatever it is. But am I going to love this thing? Because life is too short to do stuff you don't love. And I know it's not that easy. It's easier said than done. Like, do the thing you love. Sometimes we got to do stuff that we don't love to get to the point where we can say, hey, I'm only going to do stuff that I love. But we're actually more empowered than we think. And I learned that because for me, it's, am I going to love this thing? And then I think, and the reason why I got to this point, because it wasn't always like that, how I used to choose scripts was, I like it, but are other people going to love it? Is the audience going to love it? And I used to let that guide me for a very, very, very long time, for years and years, and it served me for a long time because I've had a lucky career. But you realize, oh, wait a second, I can't do something for anyone else. I got to do it for me, because then when it's anyone else, then it's not 100% authentic, and then it becomes commerce, and it's about a different thing. I think when it's about you, then it's just the pure thing of art and performance and what we do. So that's my thought. Thank you. Great question. I wish my name was like a...
I know, I was like, lucky you're beautiful, because what if you're not beautiful and your name's beautiful?
Yeah.
That would be so terrible.
like you, handsome.
I know. I mean, it's just some of us just have some of us have a really heavy burden to carry in this world. Beautiful, you get it. Like we just got it. This is from Tony C. Where's Tony C? Hey, Tony C. What music do you listen to? Thank you for that. And to help you relax or to get into a role. And then you should mention that John Cicada playing in this movie was my everything. The music supervisor, get that person a raise.
He was the first one. That's the first thing he said when we met. He's like, dude, John Cicada. I was like, yeah, man.
Put me in the zone. It was great.
Well, that's what Benny does, by the way. Benny is his relationship to music within the scenes. I'll give you a small little nerdy thing for music. There's the 8-minute fight that we have at the end of the movie, myself and Emily. That song playing over that is Jungle Land from Bruce Springsteen. He had never given that song, he had never given approval to that song to be used anywhere. Benny writes a letter, of course, as Benny does, and he asks for permission. Bruce comes back and says, well, it's an 8-minute song. What part of your song you want to use? Because the whole thing. But then what also, if you guys notice what Benny did is from the time Emily gets escorted in the police car and she's driven away, we transition into Japan 2 weeks later, and it's just Mark Kerr backstage taking pictures before his big fight. If you listen, when you watch it again, that song is still playing to let everyone know subtly that Mark's head is still back in that house where he just had that fight. So it's a small little thing for Benny that he does that I really appreciate. And the music I listen to relax is, I mean, everything from R&B to blues, quiet. I'm a big country music fan too as well. Traditional country music. There you go. She's but for preparing for roles, it's completely, it's different. It's completely different. Because I think you got to go to a place. So I have songs that will allow me to tap into that.
Thank you. Jocelyn Marie. Where are you, Jocelyn? Oh, back there. Bronx Girl. Yes. Awesome. Hey. Yeah. Glad I picked it. When you were getting more into film, what conversations were you having with your reps on how you viewed your trajectory, i.e. dramatic roles, and what were the steps to take?
I love that.
That's a great question.
I love that because years ago, I felt like I was in this, I was making family film after family film after family film. And I was in this unique, different, weird place in my life. I was also going through a lot of stuff like a divorce. And my baby at that time was maybe just a couple of years old, and I was struggling to figure out what kind of dad I was going to be. And now that I'm failing as a husband, and so I was in that place. So now, if you look back at my filmography, it was like Game Plan, Tooth Fairy, Race to Witch Mountain. I remember people going, "What? Why? What's going on? Like, what was the family moves?" I'm like, "I'm working my shit out, but I can't tell you." And you realize that you want to, I was those roles were what was being romanticized in my head about an ideal life and an ideal dad. So but I didn't know that then, but I realize it now that that's what I was wanting in my life. So that was the only thing I wanted to do. So I remember having this conversation with my agency at that time, and I had this meeting, and I kind of ceremonialized it, and I was like, okay, we got to have a big meeting, guys, because I felt it then. I felt like my trajectory wasn't going like this or this. It felt like it was doing that, and I was dealing with a lot of personal stuff. So then I have this meeting with them, and I say, okay, I feel like there's a new level that I could take my career. And at that time, in 2008, 7 or 8, it was like Will Smith, Johnny Depp, George Clooney. They were the biggest stars in the world. I said, I feel like I could have that kind of career, but I don't know how yet. But I feel like I could have that kind of career, but maybe different. And because I'm different, there's no blueprint. I didn't know a lot of Samoan black guys running around who was like raising an eyebrow. And then you lay it all out to your reps, and you're like, okay. And that room was so silent. And I was like, wow, okay. Because they just were like, okay, yeah, great. Oh, yeah, we're going to, it was that kind of thing. It wasn't like, oh, we see that. Great. So that encouraged me and reminded me that I need to make a change. And I did. And then when I got to WME, where I'm at now with Ari, and this is going on 2 decades now, is you realize that you need people around you who believe in you, even if they can't see it, and even you might not be able to see it, but you feel something. And I felt it. And that group, the current group that I'm with now, they felt it too. And they were like, look, it's okay if we don't see that and how to get there, but we feel something and we believe in it, and we're going to go for it. And then here we are. So I would encourage you to encourage your rep. You got to find the right people. Like, make sure they're around you who believe in you. It's okay not to be able to see the big shining star. It's okay, and how you're going to get there. But just, you feel it. You need people who are going to feel it too. Yeah. Good luck to you. I feel like you're going through that now, right? Okay. Yes.
And
you'll get there now that you're putting it out there in the universe too, right? With your intentions.
Yeah. And quick shout out to Dwayne. Dwayne has a great team now, but Michelle over there, good PR rep guys, will also help everything.
Michelle, where is she?
And everybody
She's back
that's
there
here.
somewhere.
So make sure
it's her
give them
birthday
respect.
tomorrow.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
We have time for one more questions from Francisco. Where are you, Francisco? Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Francisco, yeah.
How did this role challenge you as an actor? And I think that is a much larger question of also challenging you as a man, too. How did it challenge you as a human?
Well, as an actor, Francisco challenged me in ways that that I was hoping for, that I wanted. And that challenge was, could I do it? Because I didn't know. And if you're doing something scary, and we all should do something scary, and that's what acting is, and it should be scary. And so it did challenge me in that way, because it was a challenge that I wanted. It was a challenge that I chased, but also this idea that I was told for a long time. And this is not a knock on anybody in my life. It wasn't disrespectful, but I felt their vibe, and the vibe was, you make these kinds of films, and they're big movies, and they're action films, and maybe there's a comedy here and there, maybe there's a little drama, but you make these kinds of films, and you look this way. And so the idea of you disappearing as an actor, that's not going to happen. You're not going to be able to disappear or become a character actor. You can't. And I felt that vibe from a lot of people. But then I thought, well, fuck that. I'll just, excuse my language, but like, I did. I felt like, but wait, but I want that. Why not? So in that way, it challenged me too as an actor, and also challenged me in ways that's like, okay, how much are you willing to rip yourself open? How much are you willing to go there? Because there's, as you guys know, there's performances you go and they're truthful, and then there's those you feel like, oh, I'm going elsewhere here, and I'm gone, and I don't know where, and I don't know how I'm going to come back. But it's that idea of going, here I am completely exposed and raw, and every nerve you see is just raw. And so that's what I was after. And to Clayton's question about a man, how did it change me as a man? I feel like it changed me as a man just to have an even greater empathy, because, man, you realize, it reminds me of that quote. It's like, and you answer this, Clayton, it's like, hey, you know who's really going through some shit right now? And you go, who? And you go, everybody. And that's the thing that this role reminded me of. Like, man, regardless of Mark Kerr, he looks like $1 million. The guy's a champion. He's got all, he's capable, and his girlfriend, they're just this beautiful couple who got it all together. Everyone goes through their shit behind their closed doors, or where they get in their car. And we all got to remember that. And so that is a thing that helped me too. I thought that I was a pretty empathetic guy. I feel like I was. But after this role, again, Smash Machine changed my life. So thank you guys so much for hanging out.
All right. Thank you, Francisco. Thank you all for your questions today. We have to scoot them out of here as fast as possible. But for one last time, my success story as a personal trainer, ladies and gentlemen, Dwayne Johnson. And tell everyone to go see Smash Machine. Thank you very much.
By the way, I do want to say this because it's important. And you know what? I know you guys are getting ready to leave, but it means something to me. Is that I also how it changed Francisco and me just as being an actor. You're like, shit, I got to sit down now. That's not going to be a long story. Is that these conversations that I'm having now, like this, that are deep, engaged conversations. The truth is I never had them before because the films that I made never commanded these kinds of conversations. And it feels so good and so nourishing for me. And it feels like I'm a new actor and a new man. But also, this man was the first to mention and just say, hey, this guy's an Oscar contender. And he wrote that, and it meant something to me, so thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Dwayne.